Hello, hello there. Dr. Kirk here again to talk to you about the research process. The first thing we're going to talk about is choosing a topic. Now, you all will be choosing your own research topics, not just for your final projects or research papers that you'll be writing at the end of the semester, but we'll be parsing that out all throughout the semester with your thesis statement and annotated bibliography and abstract and all number of things that you'll be doing throughout the semester to help build up to that final research project. So the first step is choosing a topic. So keep in mind, you may not double dip, if you will. That is, you cannot use the same research topic with other classes this semester. That is using the same research or writing the same paper. However, you may be able to use this research, in fact, hopefully will, for something later on, like a final degree requirement project, paper, lecture, recital, something along those lines. If you can secure a topic that will be particularly useful for you, that would be a great thing to do here. So let's talk about the research process. And I'm going to start with talking to you a little bit about some of the research that I've done. If that helps you think about a process for coming up with a topic, that's one. So most of my research, scholarly research, has centered on Aaron Copland and Leonard Bernstein. And some of my interest just spurred from actually quite some time ago. I think I was 23 or 24, and I went to a concert of the LA Philharmonic, and it was an all Copland concert. And one of the first things I heard was the Fanfare for the Common Man, which I'm going to play just a little clip in case you don't recognize that name. I'm sure you've all heard it. Okay, you've probably all heard that before. I've heard it in movies and TV shows and in the Olympics and other places. It's just very dramatic and interesting. And throughout the whole concert, of this all Copland concert, I thought, wow, this music is really interesting. I want to learn more about this composer. So when I was in graduate school, there was a class taught on Aaron Copland and Leonard Bernstein by Dr. Peter Boyer, who's one of our professors at Claremont Graduate University. If you didn't know, several of our CBU professors went to Claremont Graduate University. That's just coincidental. But anyway, this class was so fascinating just to learn more about Copland and Bernstein, not only each of their musics as composers, but their other musical activities and conducting and lecturing and all number of other things. And I was sold at that point. I absolutely wanted to write my dissertation on the two of them, and I did. Both of these were notable composers in the 20th century, but they also wrote a lot and lectured a lot about music, what was important to them in music. And so that's what I wrote my dissertation about. Here it is sitting on the shelf in the library at Claremont on what Leonard Bernstein and Aaron Copland thought was important in 20th century music. So you can read all about that some other day if you feel like it. I also gave lecture recitals on Aaron Copland. I did one here at CBU a couple years back. I've given, oh, look here, I published an article about the American sound from their perspectives, and gave some conference presentations This one was on Aaron Copland and Gershwin, George Gershwin, and how both of them wrote Cuban-inspired pieces, which was pretty fascinating to see the intersection of those two. I gave a conference presentation on Aaron Copland's Passacaglia for piano, which I think is a pretty fascinating piece. And then I kind of spun out from there as to how Copland and Gershwin intersected with one another. They had some pretty fascinating careers, the both of them. And I gave another conference presentation just on Gershwin and how the invention of radio really affected his early career, which also was really interesting to me. Anyway, so whatever interests it is that you have, whether it's a particular composer or a certain piece, specific piece, or even something related to the culture as it is now, or music education, something that specifically interests you is what you're looking for. You want something that you can research and write about for some time without getting sick of it. So let me share my screen for you really quickly. And let's talk about how to research once you maybe have an idea. So I'm going to choose an idea myself, and I'll research with you throughout this semester on this new idea, and then we can kind of talk through the process as we go. So this summer, in addition to family vacations and whatnot, I've been watching a lot of old 80s TV shows. Just kind of funny to do that from time to time. So I've been watching a lot of Magnum PI, and long time ago, I used to watch the A-Team. I don't know if those names mean anything to you because it was way, way before you were born, but let me play just a little clip of some of these. Hold on, let me scoot my screen so I can see it. Some of these theme songs so that you know what I'm talking about. All right, so here's Magnum PI, just a little bit of. All right, I'm going to pause it there. So that was Tom Selleck's first big role as an actor. Anyway, it's pretty catchy theme, right? It kind of sticks with you. And if you hear it more than once or twice, you're going to be probably humming it or whistling it, or it's going to be stuck in your head for some time. Another one, which I haven't been watching recently, but I tell you, I used to watch a lot as a kid, was the A-Team. Let me play a teeny bit of that theme song for you.
A crack commando unit was sent to prison by a military court for a crime they didn't commit. These men promptly escaped from a maximum security stockade to the Los Angeles underground. Today, still wanted by the government, they survive as soldiers of fortune. If you have a problem, if no one else can help, and if you can find them, maybe you can hire the A-Team.
Okay, it's so 80s, right? Anyway, I'm getting to a point, if you're wondering why am I playing all these TV show themes, is that I started noticing anyway, it was all the same composer, and the composer is named Mike Post, and he also wrote the theme for Law and Order, which is still running. It's not just an 80s show, it's still running after 20-something seasons, and you probably have heard that theme song too, but let me play a teeny bit of that. Okay, so you've probably heard that, or maybe you've heard the Law and Order theme song before. And what I think is so funny about TV shows is, like almost anything else in music, you can usually remember a specific time and place when you were watching that show, especially if it's something you used to watch a long time ago, or when you were a kid or something. You have a specific memory associated with that, which I think is really fascinating. So when I started linking these all together and realized these are all the same composer, which I told you is Mike Post, and he's written zillions of other TV shows and films and other things too. And I thought that was really interesting. So that piqued my interest. Now you can pick anything, musically speaking. And if you have questions on that, of course, please reach out and we can talk through it. But let's talk about, once you've got something that's interesting to you, then what do you do? Okay, so it's a process. Let's start with, sorry, looking at all of my stuff here. Just a second. Okay, so the first thing I would do is open a new Word document, or whatever word processing you normally use. I normally use Word, and start out with an interest statement. Now, this is something very informal. You don't have to turn in your interest statement, but this is just something to start with. What is it I'm interested in, and what do I want to learn more about? So I want to learn more about Mike Post. Let's put something very informal down here. I'm interested in Mike Post, and not just Mike Post, but his TV theme music, and why it's so catchy. Okay, there may be more to it. I don't know exactly what direction it's going to go. Once I start researching, maybe I'll find there's lots and lots about his process, his compositional process. Maybe there's a lot out there about what other composers he was interested in or influenced by, or how the particular evolution of TV came through the different decades, what genres of TV shows started different trends in terms of genre of music as well. So how those things are related. So start with something. What is it you're actually interested in? Okay. And then we need to start exploring. So some exploratory research would be very helpful. So all right, sorry about that. The website had a little glitch. So let me pick back up here, talking about exploratory research. So the best resources we have to start with are right here on our CBU website. We're going to click on library, and under databases and databases by subject, of course, our subject is music. All right, we have two sources. We have a lot of sources, but we have two sources to start with that are going to be most useful. The first is Oxford Music Online. Used to be called the Grove Dictionary of Music and Musicians, is now called Oxford Music Online. And this is a huge encyclopedia. You probably have used it before. And probably in undergrad studies, you were told, don't cite just Grove. So this can't be your only source to look at in terms of research, but this is a great one to start with, because it's going to give you an article on that particular composer or piece of music or musical terminology or whatever it is specifically that you're looking for. And it may be a short, it may be a very, very long article on that composer, especially if you choose a Bach or Beethoven or Mozart or somebody, very, very well known. You'll have a really long article on that person. But it gives you a good place to start, so you can learn something about them and see some other resources available to you. And the next source that we have here that's very, very useful is JSTOR. And that's going to be where we find academic journals articles from academic journals. So let's start with our Grove Music Online, or sorry, Oxford Music Online. Old habits die hard. Sorry, it's always Grove when I was a student. All right, so I just typed in Mike Post. That's it in the search feature, and I found the main article here with his name on it. And I can read a little bit of biography about him. And as I said, if this was a Bach or a Beethoven, this would have been many, many, many more pages. But this is just a few paragraphs. Okay, so he's not that prolific. So anyway, we have a list of works down here of television series, quite a few other television themes where maybe he didn't write all of the music for all of the episodes, but he wrote the theme music. And then some television movie scores, television series scores, some more, and film scores, and so on. Okay, so that gives me, in a nutshell, gives me some information to start with on this composer. The other useful thing that we find here at the bottom, no matter how long the article is on the composer you're looking for, the bottom part on bibliography is really useful. So I can follow up with these sources that this author used when writing this article. These were the resources that they used. So that's really helpful. And if I found anything really super helpful in this article, I would copy and paste that over or take notes over onto my Word document that I just opened. I didn't find anything I just absolutely can't live without, but there are some things that I would follow up on. For example, these bibliography sources. That's going to be pretty important. All right, our next useful tool, as I told you, is JSTOR. This is my favorite for really start of any research. It's amazing how much you can find on here. So in the search box on JSTOR, I just typed in Mike Post again, and I put it in quotes so that I'm actually getting sources that are Mike Post, that whole name. Otherwise, you may get a whole bunch of sources that are just about somebody named Mike or Post, which of course is a very common word, not just a name. And so I may find thousands of sources that are not things that I want to look at. So when I first typed in Mike Post, I had 38 results, which is not a ton. But then I came over here on this subject and I just selected some things that I thought might be pertinent. I'm not interested in biology for this or health or other types of sciences or things that's not related to this search. So I really want to select things that I think might be pertinent to the music. So obviously music or performing arts or even film, because we know that this composer wrote also for film, or American studies, maybe because he's an American composer. But okay, so that's a good start. And this gives me now 15 results. So my next step then is going to be to read through these. Usually you'll have a little summary here. Some of them are not much, but usually you'll have a little summary if you click on one of these titles, and it'll give you, sorry, yes, proceed. Yes, it'll give you something to start with. So a good idea to start reading that summary. Some of the articles will include a little abstract up front. That gives you an idea of what it is you're looking at. Since maybe this is not something that's really pertinent. Maybe it mentions his name, but otherwise is not a particularly useful resource. So what I'm going to do then is go through my list, the 15 results on this list, and see which of them are the most useful. And then I'm going to start reading and processing what information is out there. So that very informal statement that we made is just an interest statement. That's something that's going to be refined and refined and refined as you continue to research. So at this stage, if I type in the name of this composer and I get thousands of results, That's too many, right? I don't have time to read thousands of results, and neither do you. So this would be a time when we would need to start reducing the scope of our research. Or if you type in the name of the composer and you get one result or two, that's not enough. So we need more sources than that. In fact, for your annotated bibliography, I asked for 10 sources just a little bit later this semester. So you need at least that. That gives you a ballpark of what to look for. So if you type in the name and you have only 2 sources or only a handful, that's not enough. So that means then you need to expand your topic a little bit to find some more sources that are going to be useful for you. So this is one of the first stages where we're going to look at either reducing or expanding the scope of your particular research topic. And that'll be something that we do probably several more times before we nail down the exact research topic. But to start with, I've got some articles to look at. You have some thought to give to what am I interested in and how can I start exploring that? And we'll continue to talk about the research process over the next several weeks so that we can refine and really capture what specifically you're interested in, how we can best learn about that and draw conclusions on those particular research topics and theses. So we'll say at this point, to be continued, we'll continue talking about the research process next week.